Hey 6-1, you should be watching this video if you are the Rockies. And you will want to make sure that you have your paper, your graphic organizer. You need to write the header title, which is the Inner Planet Cornell. And you also need to write in that empty rectangle the MSESS1-2. Develop and use a model to describe the rule of gravity in the motions within galaxies and the solar system. So you may want to pause the video so that you can write all of that. The essential question, there are actually two. What characteristics do inner planets have in common? And what are the main characteristics that distinguish each of the inner planets? So I remember hearing in class that some of you don't know what the word characteristics means. And it just means that it is a way to describe certain things. So if we were talking about characteristics of people, you might describe their hair color or their eye color or the length of their hair or their skin color or like how tall or how short they are. Those are all characteristics. So you're going to learn the characteristics of the inner planets. So what do they all have in common? What do they all have the same? And then what do they have different so that we can tell one from the other? On the back of your paper, I've already typed up these two statements, and I want you to just think about maybe what you already know or think you know, and see if you can get it right. And if you don't, that's okay, because that's what learning is all about. So, do you think that these statements are true or false? Number 5. The inner planets all have volcanoes on their surfaces. So, true or false? And question 6. Venus and Earth are much alike in terms of rates of rotation. True or false? Alright, we're going to flip our paper back over and let's get started on some notes. So, some common characteristics. Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars are terrestrial planets. The Latin word terra means earth. They are the 4 planets closest to the Sun. The terrestrial planets are small, dense, and have rocky surfaces. Each terrestrial planet has cycles of day and night. So these are the 4 rocky planets. And they are the closest to the Sun. They're small, dense, meaning they're not hollow, and they have rocky surfaces. Okay. They also all have day and night. So how do we distinguish between them? Well, Mercury. Mercury is the smallest terrestrial planet and the planet that's closest to the Sun. Its surface is rocky with craters, cliffs, volcanoes, and plains. There is no atmosphere. It can get hotter than 420 degrees Celsius. Venus. Venus is much like Earth, but a little smaller. It orbits a little closer to the Sun. Many people call it Earth's sister planet, but there are differences. Venus takes about 8 months to turn once on its axis. The surface has smooth plains, huge hills, volcanoes, and craters. The atmosphere is mostly carbon dioxide, making the surface very hot. The atmosphere has droplets of sulfuric acid white clouds. Earth. Earth is unique in our solar system in having a suitable atmosphere, mostly made up of nitrogen and a temperature range for water to exist as solid, liquid, or gas. Sorry, it says liquid, gas, or solid. Its surface is rocky with oceans, plains, mountains, volcanoes, and craters. Mars. Mars's diameter is about half of Earth's. Some of its surface has an orange color. It is mostly desert with highlands, lowlands, craters, and volcanoes. This comes from molecules of iron and oxygen. Mars's atmosphere is mostly carbon dioxide. The air pressure is about 1% of the air pressure on Earth. So diameter is like if you have a ball and you put a line all the way through the center, so it's from one side of the sphere to the other. So Mars is about half the size of Earth. Mars continued. Mars cannot keep the surface warm. Like Earth, Mars's polar caps change. They grow in winter, they shrink in summer. Mars's ice caps are made mostly of frozen carbon dioxide, or dry ice. Alright, you're going to take a little quiz, and this is just to help get you ready and prepared. So I would need you to flip your paper over, and I've already numbered 1 to 5, and you're going to see the question. I'll read it for you. You're going to write the correct letter, and then if you get it wrong, just mark it wrong. Be honest. Which planet has no atmosphere? A. Mercury, B. Venus, C. Earth, or D. Mars? The correct answer is A. Mercury. Question 2. Which planet has water in 3 different forms, like solid, liquid, gas? A. Mercury, B. Venus, C. Earth, or D. Mars? The correct answer is C. Earth. Number 3. Which planet has carbon dioxide and acid rain clouds? A. Mercury, B. Venus, C. Earth, or D. Mars? Correct answer is B. Venus. Question 4. Which planet is half the diameter of Earth? A. Mercury, B. Venus, C. Earth, or D. Mars? The correct answer is D. Mars. Last question. Which is the correct order of the inner planets starting with the closest to the Sun? A. Mercury, Mars, Venus, Earth. B. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. C. Mars, Mercury, Venus, Earth. Or D. Mercury, Earth, Venus, Mars. The correct answer is B. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. Okay. At the beginning, I asked you 2 true-false questions, so we're going to look back at those. The inner planets all have volcanoes on their surfaces. So what do you think? Do you think that's true or false? It's true. All planets have volcanoes. And question 6. Venus and Earth are much alike in terms of rates of rotation, meaning day and night. True or false? This is false. A day on Venus would last 8 months. Go back to the front of your paper. Remember when we started, I said there were 2 questions. What characteristics do inner planets have in common? And then what are the main characteristics that distinguish each of the inner planets? So I want you to use these yellow words as your sentence starter and your summary. So you're going to write all the inner planets' surface have, and then you can make a list of what they all have in common. The atmosphere for what planet contains, so the atmosphere for Mars contains what? Okay. And then what are the main characteristics that distinguish each of the inner planets? So you could say Mercury is different from Earth, and then tell why. Venus is different from Earth, and tell why. Mars is different from Earth, and then tell why. When you are done, you're going to take a picture of both sides and send it to me.